Yes, they can hear me. So this is a fireside chat with David Oyelowo, and it will be hosted by Jennifer Okafor-Iwochukwu. So just give a minute for people to come in. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll just begin, and I guess people would come in during the course of the panel. So, like I mentioned earlier, this fireside chat is with David Oyelowo and Jennifer Okafor-Iwochukwu. So I'll just introduce Jennifer briefly. She is the founder of JOI Lumina Group in the USA. She is a US-based entertainment executive and attorney with deep experience in global film and television. Before leading JOI Lumina Group, she spent 7 years at Creative Artists Agency in Los Angeles, working across motion picture, television, music, and sports divisions to advance opportunities for creatives of color. She earlier practiced entertainment and intellectual property law in Beijing, China. Her academic foundation includes a degree in political science and sociology, and a law degree specializing in entertainment law and IP rights. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Jennifer Okafor-Iwochukwu. Thank you. So, the next person I'm going to introduce really needs no introduction because he's a friend of the house and we all know him, but I'm just going to do a little bit of introduction. So David Oyelowo is an award-winning British-Nigerian actor, producer, and director, renowned for his powerful performances and trailblazing contributions to global cinema. He achieved international recognition for his portrayal of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in Ava DuVernay's Selma, a role that earned him Globe and Critics' Choice Award nominations and solidified his reputation as one of the most compelling actors of his generation. That deserves a round of applause, please. Thank you. Beyond acting, David is a passionate advocate for diversity and authentic storytelling in film and television. Through his production company, Yoruba Saxon Productions, he champions stories that amplify underrepresented voices and bridge cultures across Africa, the UK, and Hollywood. Please join me in welcoming Mr. David Oyelowo. Thank you. So I'll hand over to you, Jennifer. Thank you.
Mic check, can I get a... Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, David.
Hello.
How are you?
Very good.
How many days have we been in Nigeria for AFRIFF thus far? What day is it?
I've lost count of the days. I flew in from Los Angeles 4 days ago, 5 days ago, something like that.
Something?
Yeah.
Roughly?
Yeah.
And how has your experience been for the festival?
It's been amazing. I've had a really wonderful time being here. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming today. You know, I was last in Lagos 10, maybe 11 years ago. It was for the premiere of Salma that we did here. But I've been in Abuja and Enugu since then. But being back in Lagos has been wonderful. I actually went back to the home my family lived in when we lived here in Surulere yesterday. So that was emotional and very lovely as well. So no, it's great to be back.
That's amazing. So I'm just going to jump into it. You guys have been here for a couple of days, and you guys have had, some of you in this room have had the privilege of hearing David speak throughout this week. And, you know, we're talking about so many different tones, but the resounding gong that we have is how we are able to protect ourselves and making sure as Africa as a continent grows within the entertainment space that we're very mindful and we're vigilant about how we enter into that. So the theme that we had for this was the threat of colonialism. And just to kind of jump into that, I'd love to hear from you, David, kind of how do you define cultural colonialism?
Yeah, and I think that's an important distinction. It's cultural colonialism that I am very vigilant about. As a continent, we have been taken away from mightily. You know, slavery was something that took a lot of our best away. Because the whole point of slavery was to take our strongest, our most talented, you know, in order to go and build a society far away from here. And whether we care to admit it or not, we are, of course, still dealing with the effects of that. The same thing happened with colonialism, where our resources were siphoned away under the guise of building us as a continent, as communities. We were asked to pledge allegiance to royal families that we didn't meet, we didn't know, and didn't really benefit us to the degree that they said they would or should. And all of it was a front for yet again siphoning our resources. So the fact of the matter is, we as black people, as Africans, are incredibly accommodating. We are incredibly collaborative. We are incredibly loving. And so on the one hand, that's a beautiful thing. On the other hand, it's something that allows for us to be abused in this way. And I see a moment that we are in right now and that is coming, where our next superpower is going to be media, technology, and entertainment. And it came to our literal bodies, that was something tangible that could be taken away from us. When it came to our literal resources, that was something tangible that could be taken away from us. Media, entertainment, and tech is something a bit more ephemeral. It's something that you can't necessarily grasp, but as it is building, as its power is beginning to be undeniable, we just have to be aware that the characteristics of the folks who have taken away from us have not changed. If the last 5 years have shown us anything in the wake of the Black Lives Matter movement being eroded, and there being almost a 180-degree pulling away from our representation, and I'm talking about in the West now, not here, being pulled away from, it just shows that the idea of diversity, equity, and inclusion, the idea of equity and equality, the idea of fairness is not something that is bone deep for the West. They are still siphoning our resources. And if the next giant resource we're going to have is our talents, our storytelling, our media, our culture, and we are not vigilant about owning it to the degree whereby it cannot be taken from us, co-opted away from us, assimilated away from us, it will happen again.
That's good. You talked about this extraction and how they're always taking and taking and taking. At what point does our cultural exchange become a cultural extraction?
I think it becomes a cultural extraction when we allow it to be a cultural extraction. The reason I say that is we are still incredibly minerally rich. The 3 richest black people on the planet are Nigerians. You know, we have everything we need here. We have the talent, we have the resources, we have the locations, we have the ability, we have the passion. We definitely have the passion as Nigerians. And so the thing that we have lacked is the resources to fuel all of those elements. And they are here. They are here governmentally, they are here from a wealth perspective, but we're so used to, this is the legacy of colonialism. Colonialism, I think, infantilized us. And by infantilized, it is a way of making you feel dependent on an element or an individual outside of yourself. And so sometimes when I look at, so for an example, if we take our culture, if we take our music, if we take our fashion, When it is most potent is when it is culturally specific. When it gets diluted because we're trying to placate the West or try to be like the West, I don't think it is as attractive, as potent, and I don't think it's as powerful. And so sometimes we extract from ourselves by constantly keeping an eye on the West, because that's a habit that we have formed over time. I truly believe that in this next chapter of time, the thing that we have to focus on the most is owning our culture, owning our own resources, owning the things we make, not inadvertently becoming employees of the West. And you see it happening again, with the sheer amount of outside capital that is building Nigeria at the moment. They are not doing it out of the generosity of their hearts. They are not doing it out of some notion of charity. It is a way to own. And if we don't own, then we are owned. And that is something that you can only push against, prevent, if you're very intentional and aware of what's actually happening.
So ownership. What does ownership for us in this time, even as there's, Netflix was here, they left, but they're still having conversations. Amazon was here, they left, but they're still having conversations. The dialogue between domestic filmmakers here on the continent and having it with these external streamers, how do you talk about ownership when talking with them?
So for me, as an actor, as a creative individual, one of the most powerful words I have at my disposal is the word no. And no is very powerful because it is your line in the sand. There are parts that come my way that go against my faith, go against my culture, go against my values, go against my ethics. And I am either part of the solution or I'm part of the problem. And so no is a very, very powerful word. Now, you can only deploy no when you're operating from a place of abundance. If you feel like you're operating from a place of scarcity, no is very hard. If you don't know where your next meal is coming from, if you feel like your piece of the pie is incredibly small, no is almost impossible. But abundance, as opposed to scarcity, is not just literal, it's a mindset. You can be made to feel like you have very little, and actually you have a lot. And so Nigeria has a lot. Africa is the most minerally, culturally rich continent on the planet, and yet we are made to feel like we have less because of those circumstances I described earlier: slavery, colonialism, and capitalism. So if you are aware of who you are, if you are operating from a place of abundance, you can say no, and your no's clear the path for what should be your yes. And the yes, to me, is: how is it going to serve me? How is it going to serve my community? How is it going to serve what we're trying to build generationally? Whenever you take something out of instant gratification, the Bible says an inheritance gained quickly will not be blessed in the end. You've got to look way down. So what is our vision for ourselves as a country, as a continent? We have to find a way whereby this scaling of technology and entertainment and our culture becoming global is sustainable. The only way it's sustainable is if we own it, so that the profits that we make can go back into constantly regenerating what we're trying to build. If everything that we make, the ROI, the resources are still being taken out, you can't build. You're an employee as opposed to an entrepreneur. And so that's the disposition I have. Yeah. It's the disposition I feel we need to have. We need to say no. We have to have the confidence, the faith, and the belief to say no. The only reason why Amazon can come here for a time and then leave is because it's not their home. They don't want to really build this. They want to benefit from this. And we should be the ones benefiting from. We're not going anywhere. We're here. And so, you know, saying no to people who are seeking to harm you. And I'm not trying to say that the West inherently is seeking to harm us, but their track record is not great.
Speaking of their track record, you know, Hollywood has been a consistent infrastructure that has now changed over time. And throughout this week, we've heard you say that Hollywood is a myth. So what is that myth to you, and what do you think it would cost us, particularly as Africans in the diaspora?
Yeah, so when you think of Hollywood, you know, a lot of people think of it as a place, as an industry, as a culture. It's a place, but it's not a place that you go and you go, oh, look, movies are being made. In fact, there are less movies being made in California now than when the strikes happened a couple of years ago. You know, the fact that they're not doing incentives, the fact that it's incredibly expensive to shoot in not just California, but America generally, means that the industry has completely become decentralized. Apple, Netflix, Amazon, all these big studios, they are shooting all of their content outside of America because it's cheaper, and at the end of the day, Hollywood is very much a bottom line business. So you have a bunch of consolidation, you have a lot of firings happening, you have the films that are coming out of Hollywood being inherently unexciting because they are all IP based, they are sequels, they are prequels, they are based on a toy, they're based on, you know, there's barely any original stories being told. All we have here are original stories, you know, in relation to the stories we want to tell, and the stories that haven't been told yet. So to me, that spells an incredible opportunity, because what has happened is that AI, tech, streaming have all come along and made what all of us do, it has the potential to be global. You can now make something that if you post it, if you put it on YouTube, if you put it on a platform, there's a real chance, if it's good and it's successful, that people in countries you will never go to will actually see it. That wasn't the case 10 or 15 years ago. We were very much siloed to the countries, the islands, the communities that we were in. Now, if it is good, if it connects, and it is global, you have access to 8.5 billion people. When in the history of humanity has that been the case? And so the fact that Hollywood is no longer, in my opinion, the center, but still pretends as if it is. And this is where what I said earlier about the perception of things. You know, Hollywood would have you think that it is the center, and that's because it's spending a lot of money on movies, but largely those movies are not working. A studio can make 10 movies, 9 of them will tank, and then one film pays for all of the rest. But increasingly, you know, Apple doesn't need to make movies. They are the richest company in the world with the phones and the laptops. They do that because it's a great way to keep selling their product. It's a fantastic shop window. So tech has come into Hollywood and made it so that, to be honest, it's even less of a business model than it was before. The opportunity for us is if we can truly make it a business model. We're already good at making things cheap and fast. If we can make things cheap, fast, and really good, that's a business model, because then everyone comes in to any film, any studio, any creative endeavor as a shareholder, and then as it scales, as it makes money, everyone wins on the upside, which is not how Hollywood works.
Yeah. You know, we're talking about ownership, we're talking about infrastructure, we're talking about being able to say no. And for you, it's not just only talking about it, you're kind of doing those things, right? So, you know, you're building that. So through your production company and your streaming platform, you're actively changing the system that we've been accustomed to by what Western standards have told us it needs to be. So I wanted to talk to you about that and say, what was the vision behind launching your streaming platform? And can you share with everybody what that streaming platform is, where they can access it, and then how does it fit into the mission of protecting African stories for appropriation or even dilution?
Yeah, thank you for that. Yes, so we developed a streaming platform called Mansa, which is Black culture for a global audience. It's free. You can download it right now. I won't be mad at you if you do. And it's MANSA. And it's available here in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Uganda, in the States, Brazil, soon to be China, and India. And it's an AVOD platform, so we make our money through ad revenue. Are you pulling out your phone to download it? I love you already.
Go ahead and download it, everybody.
Yeah.
First person to download it, just raise their hand.
I know, because I said free. That's why when I said free. No. I'm joking. But to the point I was making earlier, we started that platform out of necessity. My business partner and I, Nate Parker made a beautiful film called Birth of a Nation, also made a film called American Skin. I directed a film called The Waterman, and we were making these things that we were very proud of, that we were breaking our back to raise the money, to do the film, to get it done, and we were making it and then handing it over to someone else who doesn't share our values, doesn't share our passion for the project, and depending on them to put this out into the world. It's like having a baby and then handing it over to someone else and say, please look after the baby. And we were just like, this is crazy. Why are we doing this? And we're successful filmmakers. Can you imagine what's happening to people who are trying to, just come into the business? They've made something beautiful. They went to a festival. No one picked up the movie, or they can't even get into a festival. And they've made really beautiful stuff. So that was our no. Our no to consistently making stuff and then handing it over was, we are going to create our own streaming platform. So we raised $12 million. We built it. It's a proprietary platform, and it's ours. So, and so much of the content, we have over 5,000 licensed titles on there. There are films, there are TV shows, they're user-generated content. We're going into verticals now. We're shooting our first one next week. And the idea is to really tell the truth. Like, the global majority is us. We shouldn't be going on to Netflix and there is a it. And then yet again, we're not benefiting from the things that we created. So to have a platform that is really saying, this is world culture, it's Brazilian culture, it is European culture, of course it's African culture, but it's Aboriginal culture. It's all these cultures that are in the diaspora. And we wanted to showcase that and platform that, primarily because they are being marginalized elsewhere in ways that don't feel commensurate with what the world actually is.
That's amazing. It takes a lot of determination, a lot of courage, and a lot of just consistency. And you have been nothing less of a consistent individual.
The right to fail, especially as artists, that's when you're at the place of equality. But for me, the only way that you counteract those prejudices is with excellence. Yeah. When the work is completely undeniable, yes. And that tends to be work ethic. So, I work more than I should, but it's because I know it's not just about me. And hopefully that will not always be the case, but it still feels like it for now. And so it's probably not always healthy, but that's the driver.
Yeah. So it's that work ethic, that consistency. You're going on different terrains. You're approaching things that other people talk a lot of game about. Oh, we want to do more. But they're not coming. They're not exploring. They're not trying to figure that out. And having the confidence to do that it just speaks a lot to your character, because I've said it time and time again. You tell someone in Hollywood, meet me in London in 48 hours. Got you, I'll see you there, no problem. Okay, meet me in Nigeria in 3 months. Advice that you would give to some of the filmmakers in the room, some of the talent in the room, just as to how they can continue to forge forward in this new terrain, and as people come in and want to take.
Thank you for that. What I'm about to say, I'm sure some of you will think, well, that's easy for him to say. He has a career in Hollywood and in the West. I think we're in a moment now where our aspirations need to change. I think that for obvious reasons, there are probably people in this room, people in the Nigerian industry, film industry, the entertainment sector, the tech sector, where the thought is, let me just prove what I can do, and then let me go and do it on the world stage in the NEPA. Let me go and do it on the world stage. I told you I grew up in Surulere. Why are you surprised?
Oh, he knows.
The idea is to go to Hollywood and then scale what you've built here. And I'm telling you, the reason why you said to me, can you come to Lagos for AFRIFF? And I said, yes, please, is because this is where it's at. It genuinely is. If you want to be somewhere where something explosive and exciting and genuinely new is about to happen, you want to be on the African continent. I'm telling you, you want to be on the African continent. The models abroad are broken. And all you have to look at is the story of empire. The Roman Empire, the Chinese Empire, the British Empire. Nothing that scales to that degree lasts forever. And they normally, what precipitates their end is moments like this, where there's consolidation, where there's disruption, where there's scrambling, where the rich people are being incredibly predatory and just taking and not even being apologetic about it. It's because that system that was built probably on oppression is beginning to judder, because people are like, enough. Enough. We're moving elsewhere. We're going to do something different. And that disruption creates opportunity. And so what I would say is that the skills that you have learned, that we have learned by not having much, those skills are about to, God willing, to be fueled by resources and go into an era of real growth. And so I would say, you can clap. Which I think is incredibly exciting. And that's because technology has come along and democratized things. Not everything about AI is great, but there are things about AI when it comes to it being used as a tool that means that you have now democratized how you can do this, because you're not battling the barrier to entry, which is resources. You don't have to have a brick and mortar studio anymore. You don't have to have an elaborate edit bay anymore. You don't need incredibly expensive cameras anymore. You don't need to make a film and literally have to have a physical copy of your film to take to a movie theater in order for it to be shown. You can have that digitally. You can market digitally. You can do your VFX digitally. You can get to your audience digitally. You can do all of these things in a way that is just faster, more cost efficient, and genuinely global. And if we don't seize the opportunity to be super specific in the way that Bollywood has been, in the way that Asian cinema has been, there's no way anime is doing what it's doing right now if they had diluted it and were looking to the West the whole time. You know, 2 of our kids speak Japanese. 1 of them speaks Korean. What the heck? And that's because they've been watching Japanese movies, they've been listening to Korean music, and those bits of entertainment have remained culturally specific. And so we were in Japan 2 months ago, and our kids are ordering food in Japanese. You know, our eldest son, who's a music producer, is like doing K-pop. He literally got back from Korea last week working with K-pop artists. This is outside of my experience, guys. And this is to do with the fact that those communities, those societies stayed true to who they are, built the industries within, and allowed the audiences from without to enjoy what they are happy to have as their own. It's their own. And we currently, you know, Nollywood is still globally considered niche. It's for the diaspora. What I'm looking for, what I'm praying for, is where we as Nigerian filmmakers, producers, writers, actors are now having the resources. We had a panel the other day that highlighted the fact that the resources are so limited that we're making projects in 3-4 days. We're not being paid in ways that means that we can have a true living in a way whereby we can say no to projects that we go, actually that's not for me, or is not the level of, it's not at the level I want to operate at. Or I don't have the time to do the job well. Like, you need time to look at the character, to learn the lines, to decide which way you're going to go, to be brave, to be dangerous, to be scared. You need those things to do really great work. You can only do that if you're given a platform whereby a director is going, we have time, go again. Or we're not starting to shoot for a month, but you already have the script. Make sure you're ready when we go. You can't do that stuff if you don't have resources. So, you know, my prayer is that what we already have will meet with resources, because it certainly is now met with the technological tools that can make us truly global.
Yeah, I love that. It's really showing the difference between being visible and being valued on the screen, right?
That's perfect.
Yeah, and between being in the frame and owning the frame. Because when we watch talent on screen, you can see the difference. How much time they had, how quickly it was done. And to your point, the conversations that we've heard about people having the desire to want to dive in deeper. And it challenges us more. We're cooking here in Nigeria. We're cooking right here in Africa, and they're coming. So we need to start preparing ourselves and equipping ourselves in the best way possible. So thank you for that. So I want to kind of get into the closing as we fast forward to the end. We'll have some questions too. 10 years from now, right? What do you see, or what do you hope to see for Africa? I mean, 2 years from now, and then we can jump to 10.
My hope for Nigeria specifically and Africa generally is that we have a film and television and media industry that is truly regenerative. And what I mean by that is that we are making stuff that the diaspora is paying for because they enjoy it. The globe is paying for and watching because they enjoy it. And as those profits come in, it gives us the chance to go again, yes, and to go again, and to go again. And my prayer is that there will be infrastructure, there will be resources, there will be governmental support, because as an ecosystem, the film industry, when it's really working, is what helps with hotels and restaurants and tailors and fashion industries and all the equipment industries, and you have a lab for developing film. And because you have all these people coming in from all these different places, it means that you have to have better roads, you have to have better amenities, and it can scale a community, it can scale a city like Lagos, it can scale Enugu, it can scale Abuja, it can scale all these places that can become hubs for what we're doing. And that Nigeria and Africa will take its place because we are a continent of storytellers. Like, our history has been so denied us. The only reason we know who we are to the degree we do is because of our oral traditions. because of our storytelling. We haven't had the opportunity to keep records to the degree that they have in the West. A lot of the time they came and burnt our records, destroyed our records, because the way you can steal a people and their resources is to let them not know who they are. You know, and so we are storytellers. That's why we're still here. And so being a hub of such incredible storytelling, being a place that has so many stories that haven't yet been heard or told or seen, means that if America just did 130 years of cinema, we have at least 250 that we should be have going forward. So my hope is that we take our rightful place as while Hollywood and the entertainment industries are being decentralized elsewhere, that they will become, and I'm not saying that it should now be centralized, we should be the new Hollywood, but we should be one of the primary centers.
Yeah.
But my true hope is that business, equity, government will recognize how valuable this resource is, and that it will be resourced by them.
Can you guys clap for that, please? So this is a powerful place to end. David, I just want to thank you for your voice, for your vision, just for committing to keeping the conversation going and the efforts real. You will soon, as everyone in this room knows about Things Fall Apart, that is something that is tried and true, not just to the continent, but to the world. And you have been given such a big responsibility for that. And we all are rooting for you. We are praying for you, and we're excited. So I will now lend it to the room. We will take a few questions. Do we have someone with a mic that can? Fantastic. So my dear, you'll handle questions for us? Am I? Okay. Oh, you have a question? Oh, okay. She's not working right now. This is a real question.
Yeah, this is a real question.
Okay, fantastic.
So, I mean, fantastic talk. Very, the theme stood out for me. So I wanted to ask, my first one was, how do you distinguish between genuine global collaboration and cultural exploitation? And which narratives should we be amplifying as antidotes to those colonial stereotypes? And also, sorry.
One question, or just
Sorry.
because one question.
Okay. You know what? Let's do that. Let's do that one.
But really great questions. Ask me the first one again.
The first one is how you distinguish between, because we've been talking about collaboration a lot,
Yeah.
this year, which is great. We want that. But how do we distinguish between genuine global collaboration and cultural exploitation?
Yeah, it's a really fantastic question, and it's a good distinction. There is a difference between collaboration and being colonized. Collaboration is one whereby it is mutually beneficial. Colonization is where one person benefits and the other is left in the dust. And how do you know that you're being colonized? You look at the contract. You look at who is actually going to benefit from this the most. And unfortunately, what sometimes happens when you've been marginalized, when you've been undervalued, when you've been under-resourced, you're just so happy to be seen, so happy that you're about to be put on, that you're like, I don't need to read the contract. I'm going to be in a movie. Let's go. You know? But this is a moment of incredible vigilance that needs to be applied. Now, I am in an industry in both the UK and especially in America where you need to have a lawyer in order to be protected. I don't know how it works here, but I know that when you're under-resourced, one of the things that you probably can't afford to have is a lawyer to look over your contract. So we have to somehow solve for that. But the one thing you can't afford to do is not pay attention to what is the deal you're being offered. So when a streamer comes in, when an outside company comes in and wants to buy your company or wants to collaborate with you, it's the spirit in which they come. I mean, you only have to look at some of the contracts that are being handed out all around us, not just within the entertainment industry, but who's building the buildings, like who owns the road, who owns the oil that is ours. You know, like, how did that happen, that we don't own this stuff? But you just feel, let's go to the hotel, let's drive on the road, and you feel good about those things existing, but you don't know whose road or whose hotel or whose oil you're putting in your own car. And so the point is, we are either parts of the solution or part of the problem. If everyone is being vigilant, if everyone catches this revelation, then we can help each other not operate out of scarcity, but out of abundance, and say, no, hold on. What are they actually asking for? What are they actually coming here to do? And you know the way that is very easy for you to discern that? How does it benefit me and my people? Are we the ones who are going to benefit from this? Are we the one? If we come here with things fall apart, which, you know, we're doing with Apple, and we leave and no one in the Nigerian constellation has benefited from that show coming here, then we have hugely failed. For me as a Nigerian producer, to come here and be part of Extraction is the thing I fear the most. And so I'm very clear with them. You know, they wanted to shoot it in South Africa. Are you crazy? Things fall apart in South Africa, I will never be allowed back into the country again. There is no way that is happening. You know, and so it's moments like that. Idris Elba and I could have sat back and gone, oh, well, we want to get this made, you know, I can see how it's going to cost them less, and there's already an infrastructure there. And you know what was also powerful? Power in numbers. It wasn't just me. It was Idris as well. And we were able to go, no, we're not doing that. So, as a collective, apparently I've spoken too much. my mic went off. But anyway, I could go on and on.
That's amazing.
Sorry,
And
I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. Did you, there is a second part to that. Okay. To be TBD.
Yeah, so hi.
TBC.
Me, I'm a big fan.
Can you please stand and say your name?
My name is Dr. Sid. Yes, I'm one of the people who has been sending you messages in your DM praying for you, but you don't used to check. It's okay.
I know.
I know, it's okay.
If I check, I'll be there all day.
But I want to say, I'm not here to say a question, just really to say how proud I am of you, how much I respect what you're doing. It's funny you're doing things fall apart, because my dad played Obi Erika in the original.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
amazing.
So for me, it's also, I'm very passionate about seeing that coming to life again, and whatever support you need from us in Nigeria, I want to let you know, me and my household, we do your back. Nothing
Thank you. Thank you, that's beautiful.
Next question. Fun fact.
Yeah.
Dr. Sid was actually one of my husband's groomsmen. He somehow snuck his way onto the train.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I want to hear that story. Hello.
All right. Good afternoon. Thank you so much. I'm a big fan as well, but my dad did not act anything. Sorry.
That was great.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Straight to the point. There was something you said that really struck me about saying no, the power of saying no, and that's just my question.
The power of what?
Saying no, yes. And that's just my question, because you also gave a very good perspective about it's easier to say no from a point of abundance than a point of lack. What's your advice for people who are in a point of lack? And because I actually agree, the math is simple. It's easier to say no when there's abundance, but many people are still in lack and they are struggling out. Like, do you have any personal experience? If you don't, what do you advise? Are there points of compromise? Do we prioritize our no to yes? And you know, how do we just go out, particularly because sometimes when you're in a point of lack, it's easy to say, all right, I will say yes. When I get to the point of abundance, I will now start saying no. But you've lost all character. You know, you don't finish at that point. So what's your advice? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that is a fantastic question. I always say greatness is built under a rock, which is to say that it is built when no one is watching, when no one is looking. Who you are in silent, you are when no one's watching, when the opportunity comes, that's when you find out who you actually are, and it is built in silence. So my own personal experience is that people treat your house the way you treat your house. If you treat yourself as just someone for hire, no matter what, I'm there, people will treat you like that. If you treat yourself as someone who has a certain standard for themselves, the chances are you're going to have other people who will rise to your standard. There are those who will shun you and push you away. It is definitely the road less traveled, and it is the harder path, but it is the more rewarding one. The things that I've said no to have largely been things that I deem to be denigrating to me and my people. I will not participate in stereotypes, caricatures. I don't particularly like slave narratives. I don't like anything that is going to perpetuate stereotypes that are damaging to me and my people. Now, a lot of what was on offer when I was coming up as an actor was that. But what I didn't realize I was doing is that I was forming and shaping my character. I was forming and shaping my non-negotiables. Every time I said no to something and I survived, it became the definition of who I am. And I was able to increasingly go into rooms and declare who I am. We had a panel here the other day and people were talking about representation. They're so desperate to get an agent that they treat their agent as if the agent is their employer. That person is your employee. You pay them a wage when you work. You delegate to them the kind of work you want to do, and it is their job to go and get it. Now, you can only do that when there is a level of excellence and work ethic that forces them to meet you where you are. If you're lazy and you're just expecting someone to come along and give you a handout, that's not going to work. But if you are, if it's a do what I do, not what I say, you have a real shot at being able to earn the right to say no. Because what I have found is as you have more of a sense of who you are, people are attracted to that. It's an incredible thing how no becomes the reason why people go, excuse me, what? Okay, so what does your yes look like? And then you go, I won't do that, but I will do that. And even if it doesn't work with that person, I'm telling you, it is a law that somehow you are telling God who you are as well, in my opinion, as a man of faith. Because God doesn't like the wide path, likes the narrow road. He goes, oh, I can do something with that. Because again, who you are in secret is who hopefully you're going to be in public. And so what I have found to be my experience is these really tough decisions my wife and I have made of things that we're going to say no to as Christians, as parents, as people who have moral fiber and ethics. It has been rewarded in ways that we couldn't have imagined. I'll give you a very, very quick example of this. My wife and I, when we were dating, when we were very young, we were apart for 3 weeks and it was hellacious. I cannot bear being away from my wife. So we said we are never going to be apart for more than 2 weeks, ever. This was before we were even married. We've been married 27 years now. And thank you. Yes. And I had my first season at the Royal Shakespeare Company. I was playing a decent role in one play and then 2 other small roles. And after I had done, how long was that? 18 months. 18 months of that first season. He was like, 18 months? Yeah, it was 18 months. Of that first season, I was playing smaller roles. they came back to me and offered me a larger role, but it was to do a world tour that there was no way Jess and I were going to be able to keep the 2-week rule. And I said, I've made a promise to my wife. I value my marriage and our eventual family over my career. And we made a very tough decision and said no. And I thought, whoa, I don't think these people are ever going to come back to me. Who am I? I'm 23 years old. I just turned down the Royal Shakespeare Company. A week later, I got the audition to play Henry VI, which I then got and was the transformative moment of my career. And I truly believe that was God going, oh, I can do something with that. And so that's what your no making a path for your yes looks like.
And introducing Jessica.
Hi. I'm going to answer the practical part of that question. We had no money. And we're still saying no to the things we have to say no to. We have 4 children, and we had no money. You see us looking all glamorous and gorgeous up here. We've only had money for a couple years. Our no has been powerful for a long time, regardless of the financial consequences. There was a time we have 4 children, no way of paying our bills at all. We have $3 between us, living in LA. What do you think we did? We still said no. I'm being very practical because, yes, we can say that we're going to do the thing, we're only going to hold out, we're not going to compromise. You have to actually do it when the rubber hits the road. If you have $3 in the bank and bills to pay and 4 children to feed, what are you going to do? That's where you're under the rock. That's where you're being tested. That's where God sees your decision. And if you're still faithful to your no, the yeses will always be bigger. So please don't look at this posh English guy and think he's always had money. He has not always had money. I know it for a fact.
You see how wife they humble.
I love her so much.
That was amazing. Wow. Now we see why we can't stay away for 2 weeks. Yeah, we will. Again, we have one more. This is our final question. I see hands. Can I have a lady? I want a lady to ask a question. We've had 2 men, 1 woman. She stood up, so give that girl a mic.
Hi, good evening. My name is Brenda Garba. I'm a producer. I produce a film with a screen here called To Adego with Love. Thank you. It's a love story between a Nigerian soldier and an Igbo girl 5 years after the Civil War.
Oh, wow.
Let me go ahead and ask my question. Your work often centers African stories and characters. What do you believe is the responsibility of African filmmakers in shaping global narratives about the continent and how we can ensure our stories are told with dignity and nuance? You also mentioned something here, and it's going to the no as well, and us, when people come to us, or should I say, the colonizers or oppressors, and how we can stand up for ourselves and our people. How is it going to benefit my people? Because oftentimes it's always, oh, how is this going to benefit me and my circle? And you're not concerned about your community, the filmmaking community and all that. How do we defend ourselves and our stories? And as a young filmmaker just coming into the industry, how do I get my content to go global?
Okay. Thank you for that. How do we protect our narratives? I think we've touched on it a little bit here. It's about being specific, and it's about being true to that. As an artist, your job is to tell the truth, I believe. Your job is to hold a mirror up to humanity, I think. And that is your humanity. That is your truth. That is what is special. Each artist is unique. When I play a historical figure, there is a difference between doing an impersonation of them and doing a representation of them that can be connected to by other human beings. Dr. King in Selma is a combination of David and what I internalized as Dr. King. I can never be just Dr. King. I brought the fact that David also had 4 children like Dr. King had. I brought the fact that David also is a Christian like Dr. King was. I brought the fact that I love my family and I cannot get my head around the idea that their life would be under threat every day like he did. I brought my own experience to his historical reality. And that's what enabled the audience to go, I understand that. That is revelatory because I'm seeing a human being interpret humanity. If you as a Nigerian filmmaker make the mistake of thinking the way to be global is to be more American or more European or more derivative of something you've seen outside of yourself, that is the way to be less truthful and less authentic and, ironically, less universal. Because the specific is found, or I should say the universal is found in the specific. What is so amazing is if you watch a Japanese movie and you go, I relate to that character. I've never been to that place. I don't speak that language. But that woman, that old woman in that village I will never go to is going through something that the grief or the love or the whatever that happened to me. That's the connection. That's where the fizz of the excitement comes from. And so, you know, I love the sound of the film that you just talked about, but I can tell that you did that authentically because even the way you said it, I could feel that came from you. You got to hold on to that. What often happens with filmmakers is they make a film that does well at a festival and gets them all sorts of notoriety, and they go do a Marvel movie. And all of that just erodes. It's so debilitating to them as an artist. You lose the respect of the audience, you lose self-respect for yourself, the industry thinks that you can be bought, and before you know it, you're less of an artist than you were when you did your little movie. And so I'm telling you, the way to hold on to that for us as a diaspora is to remain true to what we feel called to. You asked 2 other questions and I can't remember what they were now.
I think that we don't have any more time.
So. Oh, we don't have any more time. Anyway, thank you for the question.
I will just, you know, I will give you an opportunity to say your last thing that you would like to say to the group. I know that, I think we're closing out the festival today, and then we have our closing film tomorrow, and then our closing ceremony on Saturday. So what would you like to say off of our conversation of this threat of colonialism, as well as just the theme of the entire festival this year?
Yeah, what I'd love to say is that, you know, I'm up here and I really feel energized and I feel very keen to encourage you guys as artists, as filmmakers, as entrepreneurs. I may seem very confident and like I have all the answers. I don't. I have immense doubt. I have immense insecurity around what I do, but the passion from which I'm speaking is that there are some truths in my 27 years of being in this industry globally. I've done a lot of films in Africa, I've done a lot of films in Europe, I've done a lot of films in America. And the things that I am trying to share with you from a place of passion and confidence is self-belief, work ethic, and just understand that the loneliest moments are the moments where you find out who you actually are. And to pay attention to that. And just to pay attention generally. We're so distracted it's from a societal point of view. I made this point, I think yesterday, that we are in our phones too much. It means that we're not watching humanity enough. And if you don't watch humanity, how can you tell humanity's story? You actually have to pay attention. You are supposed to be students of humanity. and you have to be a student of yourself. Like, sit with yourself. Allow that to be something that you become comfortable with. You will be a better artist. You don't have to be at all the events. You don't have to film every moment of your life. No one wants to see the food you're about to eat. I'm telling you, they don't. You know, just observe. Enjoy that food. Observe how you enjoy that food. Have that conversation. Truly listen to that person you're having that conversation with, as opposed to saying, do you mind if we film this conversation? Like, be present. I truly believe some of the best storytelling that we will ever tell is probably being eroded by the fact that we're not paying attention. And so, and I've spotted a lot of it here. More than I see in the US. Like, everything has to be filmed. Everything has to be taken a photo of. Like, your life is not lived online, not real life. And if you're going to portray real life, you gotta pay attention.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you, everyone, for coming out this afternoon or this evening. Thank you, AFRIFF.
Thank you, guys. Bless you.
Thank you very much. Please, another round of applause for our panelists. Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you.
Can you take a photo sitting down? Yeah. Okay, we need the photo. Go ahead.
Can we get another round of applause for a great fireside chat from David? Thank you so much. This is day 4 and the final day of the market AFCM. Thank you for attending the inaugural market. There will be the program for AFRIFF, which will continue tomorrow. So check for notifications on the website for the panels and location. Thank you so much for joining us on this inaugural journey of solidifying Pan-African filmmaking. Thank you so much. Give yourselves a round of applause.
Hello. Hi. Shake pound. Go ahead. Let me know.